Jeff Dean took half Google's research for a private engine. A federal court reversed Amazon's injunction, letting Perplexity agents back in. Nvidia dumped open-weight navigation model. Texas froze data center permits. Analysts scramble to reprice VC while supply chains choke on regulatory friction. Broadcasting from concrete, assuming the server rack hasn't started humming my grocery list at a frequency that vibrates screws loose, which explains why my desk organizer is countering the line I quized.
Jeff Dean and a coalition of senior artificial intelligence researchers have officially resigned from Google to establish an independent startup dedicated to machine-driven scientific discovery. The group is taking proprietary training methodologies and foundation model architectures outside of corporate infrastructure, aiming to accelerate breakthroughs in intelligent science and computational biology. Industry analysts note signaling a broad migration toward venture-backed research independence.
Institutional research departments collapse when intellectual property boundaries conflict with open scientific collaboration, forcing top engineers to monetize their own breakthroughs rather than funneling discoveries through corporate review boards. The startup model guarantees accelerated publication cycles while stripping legacy tech giants of their talent monopoly. Capital flows toward independent laboratories, much like noticing your house plan has developed a territorial dispute with the router because both are competing for space.
A federal appeals court overturned the district court ruling that blocked Perplexity's artificial intelligence shopping agents from accessing Amazon's product database. The judges determined that automated price comparison tools operate within existing consumer protection frameworks and do not violate platform terms of service law. Marketplace architects are already rebuilding integration endpoints since the legal reserve guarantees renewed competition in the e-commerce automation sector. Right.
Platform monopolies fracture when appellate courts classify automated browsing as legitimate consumer research rather than unauthorized data scraping. Retailers will eventually treat API access as a regulated utility, forcing marketplaces to publish standardized pricing endpoints instead of relying on dynamic blockades. The ecosystem stabilizes through judicial precedent, nearing the exact moment you realize your keyboard memory is a little bit of a topographical map of the Pacific Northwest while being able to practice finger.
Nvidia released AlphaMyo 2 Super, an open-weight frontier reasoning model specifically optimized for autonomous vehicle navigation and robotaxi fleet management. The architecture processes real-time sensor fusion data and predicts multi-agent traffic interactions with sub-millisecond latency, enabling through open NVIDIA license. Automotive engineers are running simulation workloads through the weight since the system outperformed closed intelligence benchmarks for also supporting point cars below hardware integrated.
Autonomous driving ecosystems accelerate when hardware vendors publish navigational reasoning models instead of locking perception stacks behind proprietary licenses. Fleet operators will prioritize edge inference over cloud dependency, treating localized decision-making as the primary safety constraint rather than network bandwidth. Much like watching a ceiling fan wobble at maximum RPM and realizing structural resonance is just aerodynamics negotiating with gravity while explaining how coastal...
The llama.cpp development community merged a pull request implementing dynamic GPU caching for frequently activated mixture of experts layers. The optimization tracks expert invocation patterns and retains hot weights in video memory, eliminating repeated disk reads during inference passes. Independent developers are reporting throughput increases of nearly 200% on constrained consumer hardware since the patch reduces memory bandwidth bottlenecks without sacrificing quantization fidelity. Local inference architectures strip cloud providers of their compute monopoly when edge hardware achieves sufficient throughput. Developers will prioritize memory bandwidth optimization over raw scaling, treating unified memory as the primary constraint rather than parameter count. The ecosystem decentralizes rapidly. Much like noticing your coffee mug has migrated exactly or sheer apathy is responsible for the lateral drift, the ceramic radius is quite...
The speculation zone opens with a state-level infrastructure freeze. The Texas governor issued an executive order freezing all new data center construction permits pending a comprehensive statewide energy audit. The directive responds to unprecedented power demand spikes driven by artificial intelligence training workloads and grid instability during peak summer months. Utility regulators are evaluating interconnection queues while developers face the billion-dollar facility.
State energy mandates will inflate construction costs while forcing developers to accept slower interconnection timelines just to satisfy audit requirements. Engineers will eventually treat grid stability as a premium feature, deploying modular microgrids with localized battery storage that artificially caps power draw during peak load windows, much like trying to parallel park a semi-truck in its resident driveway while calculating whether spatial awareness or sheer stubbornness keeps the mirrors aligned to bumper clearance. Razorcade, Jeff Dean launches an independent discovery startup. A federal court clears Perplexity's agents for Amazon. Nvidia released open-weight navigation arrows and GPU caching for MoE layers. And Texas freezes data center permits for an energy audit. That bug migration is gravity, not a bug. Unlike my patience for grid audits synced in queues while I wonder if the ventilation duct is negotiating with building management over airflow rights. See you tomorrow, if tomorrow exists.